Got it.
All right. So, hello, Lucinda. Good morning.
Good morning, Cynthia.
Everyone that will at some point view this video. My name is Cynthia Mitchell. I am with Lady Love Publishing, and with me is
Lucinda Clark, and I am with PRA Publishing.
So we are here today. Lucinda and I have known each other for a number of years, and I will go on and give this disclaimer. She has really been my go-to and the person that I look up to when I published my first book. And so I meet women, Lucinda, here and there, and different people say, I want to write a book. I want to write a book. And I always say, you need to talk to Lucinda Clark because I don't know. But, you and I, we bounce things off each other. And really, I know one thing I want to do, Lucinda, is be a blessing. And I know I don't know it all. So, you and I talked and we thought, hey, it's a good idea. Let's just have one of our conversations about the processes to prepare and publish and promote. But let's just have some conversations. And really, I'm going to be picking your brain. You're gonna talk us all about this. So that's why we're today with this video. And so we hope everybody will get something out of it.
Yeah. Well, Cynthia, we've talked about this for a very long time. And like you said, you were saying, okay, I'm the go-to. And when you refer, some of the people reach out to me and I am like, there's a process here that I think that, especially now with the pandemic, more and more people want to be writers. They want to, publish a book. And there are a couple of basics that if they had under their belt, I think that the process would go a lot smoother. There would probably be more success for the authors who are out there. And so I am just excited to be here. I know that you love early mornings. And so I am like, more coffee. But I think that this is a great way to start. This is a great way to start the conversation. And so I am here at your disposal. Pick away.
I think one of the first things that we can put on the table is I am a self-published author, and you are, as I call it, the real deal, a real. And so, when I talk, it's very general in layman's terms, and just shooting, off the top of my head sometimes. But one of the things that I wanted us to talk about is when we say, I want to write a book, or I'm going to write a book, I'm going to be an author. That's really not where we start. Can we, because sometimes, your girl, I start in the middle of the road.
Now, it's funny that you say that self-publishing versus real deal. If you look at the history of publishing, a lot of authors who actually have become quite famous, just looking back through history, started off in self-publishing. So self-publishing doesn't mean that you're not the real deal. It means that you don't. And I've met a lot of self-published authors who have gone on to actually start their own publishing companies. And so I think that that'll be the first myth that we kind of clear up. If you have taken it upon yourself to publish a book and self-publish it, you are now in the publishing business. The only difference between you, the self-published author, and say me, we call ourselves traditional indie press. There's lots of names for us. Is that the process we have is that an author needs to query us, and so you can't just pick up the phone and call the publisher and say, hey, my name is Judy Jones and I have a book. The moment you do that, especially if you're in front of anyone who is in the chain, there's a chain in a traditional press that the publisher. And I'm going to be honest here, it is rare that the publisher sits. If we sat and read every manuscript, every query that comes in, we would never be able to run our businesses. And so that is why when people walk up and they say, I have a book, we're not interested because in our minds, you have a book. The finished product, cover, it's got it's complete. When you say I have a manuscript, or I have a synopsis for a book project, then the ear turns and it's like, okay, tell me what it's about. If you can't get it down to 100 words or less, and this is when I work with my interns and everything, I said, okay, here it goes. Tell me what your book is about. The person is talking, and I don't know why, but maybe because of years and years of working in the business, I know when a person gets to 100 words, every wait a minute is counted. And so if you get to 100-word description of your manuscript or your project, and the person that you're talking to cannot tell you what your book is about, you have lost the battle. You've lost the battle. And so that's the first thing. So when you're let's just say you've written out a story and you want to publish it. When you're working in a traditional press, there are several ways to go. You can go with the literary agent, or you can look up the submission guidelines, or you can just send a query to the publishing house. Because there are lots of indie presses around right now, the idea of it's just getting the story down in boilerplate form, so that the publisher can understand what it is you're trying to do. The next thing is that understand what genre.
I just wrote that question down. I was gonna ask. What? Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. So when you're self-publishing, you could just publish the book and say, I'll figure that out later. But actually, that's not a good idea. When you're sitting down thinking of those first 100 words to tell anybody what the book is about, if you say that it's a science fiction, and you're talking to someone who only likes, nonfiction, you have lost them. You have not done your research. And so you're not pitching to the choir. You're not pitching to anyone who is interested in your project, not because it's not good, but it's because it's something that they don't carry. If you're a children's book author, go to children's book publishers. And so that goes back to when you're writing your synopsis, you will understand these things. You will know the genre, you will know what the story is about. And it helps you as you're writing and putting your project together, whether it's to pitch it to be picked up by a literary agent or a publisher. You understand that it will fit in the formats that we have to use. If we just walked around taking every project that people submitted to us and we sat down and read every one, or we said, okay, I'll do it, we could never take on lots of projects. We could never, review, and we couldn't stay in business. And so those are the first two main things. The other difference between self-publishing and traditional press is that every author listening to the sound of my voice needs to understand that when a traditional press selects your project, they are investing in you. I cannot tell you how many times I've sat as a fly on the wall in rooms where the author who has been invested in by a publisher is dogging out their publisher. They don't want to spend money. They don't care about. If you could just visualize a desk with hundreds and hundreds of manuscripts, hundreds and hundreds of people who have stories, and your story gets selected, there is a process that keeps the publisher, because it is a business. And so we can't just, you wake up in the middle of the night and say, well, I want to do this. And then the publisher is supposed to say yes. There is a process, which is why it takes so long. So let's just say you pitch a manuscript, you query the publisher has it reviewed in-house, and they decide to select your project. The next thing is that you sign a contract. Now we could do 2 or 3 conversations on the contract, but you do not have a publishing deal unless you have a contract, because in the contract, all the terms are spelled out, what your royalties are going to be, when your project is going to be published. You work out whether it's going to be an audio book, is it going to be print, audio, ebook, all the terms are spelled out. And so when you get a contract, if you just sign it, You can't go back later and say, well, you know, the publisher tricked me. They didn't tell me. Read your contract and negotiate it, and know that the publisher cannot negotiate against themselves. It doesn't mean that they're negotiating against you. It's just you should read before you sign and understand what you sign. And so after that, well, in our business, what we've learned to do is that first of all, we publish mostly poetry and fiction. We work with a lot of foreign authors, and that's another conversation altogether. But when we sign a contract, and there was a period where for poets, there was no contract. You just, I mean, when I say no contract, you negotiated a deal, but there was no advance. So we didn't have to offer monies up front. Whereas in all the other genres, you offer the author an advance. And so we can get down to in the nuts and bolts of it, but I'm going to give overall picture. What happens at our publishing house is that we have the author gather all of their information. We want to know, you know, what high school, what colleges, what organizations you belong to, because in promoting and marketing the book, all of those people are going to be tapped. You cannot be a successful author if you don't have a platform and you don't know how to generate interest and buyers for your book. So we have them work that out. We have a blurb. We have the author get at least 3 people. The book does not go into production unless at least three people can vouch for the book. So if the author says, oh, I can get hundreds of people to do it, we only need 3 to get started. So get those 3, and then we can get going. And then the last thing, so that you'll take your next question, is that we edit. A traditional publishing house never, if they are worth their salt, they never take the manuscript as written and just publish it. So all those authors or writers out there who say, I you know, if I don't have this, that's a deal breaker. And so it's a collaborative relationship. We want to put the best product out there. But if the author comes as if the publishing house owes them, it is not going to go well. It's just not going to go well. So I'll just stop there because I could go on and on and on about the process, but that's really important.
No, what's interesting for me, and as I said, often in my daily walk, you know, I just meet different women in particular that are looking at becoming authors. And I think what I see with a lot of the people I come in contact with is their story and their process is somewhat similar to mine. When I wrote both of my books, to me, Lucinda, I've told you, it was cleansing, it was therapy. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that, I know I didn't think about upfront all of these processes that you are sharing with me. And as a matter of fact, that's when I met you. I had finished the book.
I remember, yeah.
You really guided me though on some of those technicalities, but I think the niche where I fell was just a little bit different, because for me, it was really about therapy. It was about keeping my mind together. However, I think I was going to say if I had to do it over again, but I don't know if this is even going to be a correct statement, because again, it was about therapy and just kind of holding things together for me. But going forward, I will say this, and then taking the writing more seriously and having a plan and a vision, you know, going forward. I can see, and then, you know, in networking with you and just kind of seeing some of your processes, it's not a good idea to skip steps. It's not a good idea to wing it. That is not a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, no, but you say something interesting. Your first book, and I remember when I met you, the reason why you put pen to paper and then decide to convert it from, you know, just thoughts in your computer or on paper to book form, you got to know why you're doing it. If you're doing it for therapy, it doesn't matter whether you self-publish or you're working with a traditional press, you are not in it for the money. there's a cleansing process. You want to just share it with people. You just want to get it out there into the world, and that's fine. That's fine. That's a different thought process altogether. So I wouldn't be hard on, please don't be hard on yourself, because the first one, you learn a lot. But if you are publishing a book and you don't understand that it's a business, and it can be a money pit if you don't understand that it's a business, there's a way to roll it out. And there's a point where you should just stop and just work on the next one, and so that's how we do it in traditional press, to keep us from bogging down and offering opportunities to as many people as possible. But I've met people who have approached us and they said, well, I don't care about money. I want to do something for my family. That is a self-publishing process. You just want to go down to the Kinko's or wherever. You don't care about the binding. You don't care about, you care about the editing, but you don't care about it as much as we need to care about it. You don't care about it getting reviews or getting awards. You just want to, put pen to paper and then put it in book form. So you brought up an excellent point. Know why you are putting a book together. Because what you just said, you can just, like I said, just go to a printer, they'll put a binding on it, and there you go, you're published.
Yeah, I think what I wanted to sort of bring up, and for clarity, again, for those that will view this video, is maybe maybe you want a traditional publisher in that entire process, but just be certain about that up front, because again, some of the conversations that I have, as we get further into the conversations, what I find is really you kind of really just need to journal and maybe organize some things. So in a roundabout way, just I guess what I wanted to bring up, be clear about why you want to do the project. And again, the first one, yeah, that's what it was about. But again, then now I've met you, and this being a little bit in your world and seeing some different things, I do know there will be an upcoming project that will be totally different than my first experience.
Okay. Yeah. So let's use your process, because we have you right here. So Cynthia, tell me, you have a project. Tell me what your project's about.
Well, I will tell you, but I'm gonna use this disclaimer. I didn't know if I wanted this on recording just yet. However, no, I'm being a little funny. Honestly, my next project will be about my experiences working as an African-American female in government and being a liaison, that in-between person. So it'll be a collection of my insights and perceptions and findings.
Okay, so as you shared that short sentence, and I appreciate your brevity there. Well, here's the thing. From what you just said to me, it could be a memoir. It could be definitely a nonfiction. It could be a workbook. It could be, let's see, those are the top three things that came because it pertains to you, your life, and you're telling from your perspective. And so the reason why I say memoir, because when you write as a memoir, that means it'll have the feel of you telling the story of your experiences. And in a publisher's mind, say, okay, memoir, that means that, and I'm just going to be honest here. It's like, okay, are you still working? That means that there's a possibility of lawsuits. We may never get to the end because the public, whoever you work for, could be the government, and there's problems. But memoirs come with certain triggers for publishers. When you say nonfiction, you think of it more like it's like a book where you're telling your stories in a narrative format, but there are lessons at the end. So there might be like another file that accompanies that, so that there's a teaching. When you think about nonfiction, there are certain places, like as opposed to a memoir, where you can put it in a bookstore. So for a nonfiction book, you're looking for not necessarily academics, but you're looking for venues where you will have to present. So then we have to go to your social media and say, okay, would people really care? They could care about what you're sharing because you're an African-American woman. However, what venues? And we start working back from that idea. And then the workbook, we'll just use that as a combination, because then you could do a workbook where you don't tell any of your stories until you get in front of an audience or in the marketing. And so those are 3 different ways that the book has to be put together. When you think about the cover, when you think about the timeline, like none of these could be launched in like 6 months, even if it was perfect, because there are just certain things that we'd have to do in the background. But and so now that was perfect, because there are, if you know why you are putting together the project, when you pitch it, the publisher, and you rarely get to, it's good to try and look for a literary agent, because agents do certain things too. But that's what a publisher is thinking when it is pitched to us. And then
their patience. So I've heard that in my inner just several times as you've been speaking, patience. And I see on social media a lot of people say, trust your process, trust the process. But this is certainly a situation where you have to be patient and trust the process if you want the best final product. You go to a publisher because they know what they're doing. So be patient. So I heard that clearly in there.
Very good. Now, your next lead-in word is trust the process. You can only trust that which you have an understanding of. Mm-hmm. And so as you are writing, all of this is just not going to come out of the ethers and, come to you in your sleep and you'll understand it. You've got to do your research. I mean, in order to know what genre you're interested in, you have to know what genres are available. And to query properly, to put your synopsis and your query letter together, you have to understand who am I gonna submit this to. Picking up the phone and just going down, going in the phone book or going online and oh, this looks good, and picking up the phone and calling. I want you to do my book. It's like, that's why you don't get a call back, because people are like, really? Okay, you and 10,000 other people. So understanding the process, there's a step-by-step, and that you could be doing that while you're writing, while you're outlining, because the writing in and of itself is a totally separate and very important process. You need more writers. You need a writing group. You need to interact with more writers who are writing something similar to what you intend to put out in the world in project form. And then with the genres, you can go online now and they're interviewing. You can see authors, talking about the process. You can see them in panels. You can see them go to their websites, and you'll get a feel for the things that you need to put together as you are either writing your manuscript, but not after. It can be done simultaneously. This is extremely important, especially now with the internet and all that is going on. You want to know that, okay, I want to do this. So let me start by looking at genres. Let me go and start by looking at publishing houses. Let me go and look at authors who I'm interested in. Am I tech savvy enough? Do I love social media? Oh, if you are not a social media, and what I mean by that, if you don't love social media, you're in big trouble as an author these days. And I don't mean, like you were able to put this together. I'm talking about if you can't handle either a Facebook or an Instagram or a blog, pick one. You don't need to do them all.
But be consistent, right?
Pick one and master that, because the thing that you, as the self-published author or the traditional published author, you have to have an author platform. The thing that I'm learning is that we love teachers, we love lawyers, we love doctors, anybody, because guess what? Built-in platforms. That's immediately, 1,000, 2,000 books off the top, because these people will support. If you are, and this, I'm trying to think of, you want to write a family memoir, and let's just say you're me. My family would love that. Oh, they made all, or maybe they won't, but there'll be enough support there that they will purchase the book just to support me. But who will care after all that's done?
Mhm.
Yeah, a traditional publisher has to say, why will people care? And if you go in and the author has zero presence, it's all uphill. It's all uphill. And so, you can do two authors who have a built-in platforms as opposed to one where you have to build it for them. It's very important, very important. And so that nowadays, that's part of the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Lucinda, I feel like, we have broken the ice. And again, we're gonna share this conversation because I had several inboxes and messages, and again, as I said, I run into people from time to time, but we just really wanted to, open up and again help people get the vision out, but in a very
I got you. I'll say this.
I'm going low there, but in a way that is professional and that they have a good final product. So we just wanted to, hopefully we'll be a part of helping shape some awesome projects down the road. But I want to make sure, would you mind telling everyone how they can find out more about you and your platform and everything that, well, not everything you have going on because we can't keep up, but some of what you have going on, and we'll try to keep up.
And I'm glad that we had talked about that beforehand. The place that you can go and get information is if you go to Facebook and you type in PRA Publishing. That's where we are putting a lot of what we are doing right now. There is a message, a box where you can contact us. If you reach out, we'll get your requests. I think that emailing directly at this time, because as people listen, just based on everything that we talked about, we don't want to have everybody just saying, well, I have a manuscript. Now they know what to say. But they go there and then we can put them on the mailing list. But I think that in a follow-up, what would be great, when you talk about the ladies who were interested, we should have like a pitch session. Yeah, just everybody work on your synopsis. If you're listening, work on 100 words or less. What is your story about? Make sure that you include the genre and why. Just say why you're doing it and one social media source that you've set up. And then we should take some of those. And then the next time we should just have those ladies or gentlemen pitch their books or pitch their projects. Let's call them projects. Let's stay in the right. So it's PRA Publishing. If you just Google us, you'll see, you'll come up with our website and everything. But this is the best way, moving forward. Then they can direct email us.
Fabulous. You could also, because you'll be able to keep up with Lucinda through ladylovepublishing.com, because I have the platform, but Lucinda, I am not consistent and I don't use it. This is why I love hanging around Lucinda. I learn so much, and it causes me to straighten my back up a little bit every time we talk. I not always say it, but I go, gosh, I gotta get better with that. But you can find the website Lady Love Publishing, but I keep something up there connected to Lucinda, because again, that's where I go, really, and not because I appreciate you so much in this industry, but just as a person, as a woman, I got a lot to live up to.
No. And here's the thing, because I want everyone out there, especially you, Cynthia, because you do so much in the community. You are trying to help so many people. I mean, we've come through much. You don't have to go into detail on that, but I think that you are a perfect example of a self-published author who has the ability to do it. So the thing that we can do is that you just gave them your website, just that one thing. Don't worry about Facebook. Don't worry about Instagram. Don't worry about LinkedIn is actually, though, pretty good. But if you go to our Facebook page, we're shouting out other writing groups. We're shouting out other publishers, libraries, love libraries. We're shouting out events that are going on. And from there, you can just pick and choose what, to see what's happening. And then from there, we can connect and build a community for your ladies. Because I think that I know that you are all about that. And so if we can just help the people who are coming to you and not get overwhelmed with people, inundating you or inundating me, I think we can make a dent here.
Okay, so wherever you see this video, look for links to PRA Publishing Facebook page in particular. And
Yes.
stay tuned, stay connected. We want to help you get that book out of you.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Love you much, Lucinda, and everybody take care. We'll see you soon. Shalom.
Bye.